I'm looking for a sister to revive and win a kiss. If you want some love, just let me know.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, today it is time to do another quicker video, or pretty much showing you what I'm talking about instead of some War Thunder gameplay. Unfortunately, I'm quite busy right now, so I have to do it in this format. Today we had the news that the French ground vehicles are coming in update 1.75 called La Résistance. So it's going to be basically focused around the French vehicles. Now, when the Japanese came out, when the British came out, and also, I believe, when the Americans came out, they had packs in order for you to go through the tech trees early. Now, with this, this is also true of the Italians and also the French tech tree, so any other tech trees that we get moving forward, so Italian tanks, maybe some international tech trees, this is how they're going to do it. So pretty much this is a news article talking about the bundles that you can get in order to be able to go along with the testers and also get full access to the French tech tree when it comes out. So normally they give away, or well, not give away, but normally they offer 2 packs. This time we have 3 of them, which is kind of interesting. We have a rank 2, a rank 3, and a rank 4 vehicle. So this is pretty much talking about the update 1.75 in general, and we'll also get into some of the specifics on the tanks. I want to let you know that I will do a special War Thunder historic video for each of these vehicles, and also talk about their impact in game, talk about maybe their BR and stuff. This is going to be a much more general video showing you what is going to be on offer. Also, in the coming days, look forward to another video talking about 5 interesting French tanks, which will hopefully be different to these ones. I still haven't made my mind up on the 4th and 5th one I want to talk about. So, overall, what you get out of these packs is some Golden Eagles, Premium, the access to the French Tanks Closed Beta. You also, out of each of them, get a different 3D decoration, which is very annoying to me because I really like the gun decorations. If we actually have a look at them here, all 3 of them, you get this wonderful thing, you get this one, which looks very much like a shortened STG, and then you get another French rifle, which looks very similar to a Kar 98. So that's the MAS 36, MAS 38, and the MAC 31. It is kind of annoying that you can't get these without ordering the packs. Hopefully, in game later on, you'll be able to unlock them, whether it's part of a special or in the Warbond shop, because I really like just collecting them. I actually use them on my Excelsior. I just put them on top of the vehicle, and I think it looks pretty cool. But anyway, let's go through these packs one by one. So we'll start off here. You can see them on the Gaijin Net store. Hello, Zach Fua. I did just answer a question from him. Thank you, Windows 10. Very kind of you for doing that. But yeah, there's your there's your little notoriety. Also, thank you for the comments you send. They're always interesting to read, so that's very kind of you for posting them. So this is the Bitter, and now I'm going to call it the Bitter because I don't want to call it the B1 Ter, and also Bitter sounds a hell of a lot better in my head. So this is the $14.99 one, the cheapest and also the lowest rank. So this is going to be a rank 2 heavy tank, and if you don't know anything about the Bitter, it's pretty much a B1 BIS, which has upgraded frontal armor and a much more powerful engine. So a slightly quicker Char 1 BIS with a bit more frontal armor on it. It still has the 47mm cannon and also the hull-mounted 75mm. We'll get a picture up here to show you. This is what it's going to look like. I feel like if they just decreased the brightness a little bit, this picture could look a hell of a lot better. But, you know, I believe they like taking screenshots without editing them any whatsoever. So what you get out of this tank is massive side skirts. You'll probably get pretty decent frontal armor. The 47 will be pretty useless, but the 75 may be at least a little bit of use. If you want to learn more about this configuration of guns, the Chieftain World of Tanks guy who does the looking around the tanks. He recently did a couple of videos looking at the Char 1 bis, I believe, or the Char 1. And, you know, he went inside it, he talked about the guns, he talked about how useful they were, and I would definitely say you should do it. It's definitely a decent video series, which is very informative on the tanks it looks at. On top of the extra hull armor and more powerful engine compared to the B1 bis, it also gets a increase in crew. It gets one extra guy, which is right here, as you can see. And I believe he's going to be mounted in the hull, because it talks about it has a different transmission, and therefore it receives space for an additional crew member. So I'm guessing you're going to get an extra guy in the bottom here. The issue that the Char 1 bis had, and I'm pretty sure the Bitter will have too, is the fact that it only has a one-man turret. This means the commander has to see, he has to shoot, he has to reload the 47mm, and also he has a coaxial. It's really not a good position for the commander. But if the Bitter is slightly different to the bis and there's a two-man turret, then that will be a lot nicer for the commander, and maybe you'll get a bit of a better reload out of it. But here is the cube of the machine. If you want to have a look at it, it is available on the page itself. As I said, I will be doing a video on all of these vehicles, talking about them and also including all of the screenshots and video as I normally do. What is going to be interesting about this machine is it going to be balanced by its gun, or is it going to be balanced by its armor? What we've found with especially a lot of British tanks is that if they are balanced by their armor, they generally don't do too well. Examples of this were the Matilda, which did get a BR decrease, so it does a little bit better, but it still struggles with its 40mm, and the higher-end Churchills. A lot of people sing the praises of the last Churchill. I disagree. I still think it is not a good vehicle, because it can be easily penned in many areas, making its armor obsolete and its gun not very good. The only machine that it stacks up well against is stuff like Panzer IV F2s, which still can penetrate it very easily, whereas the Churchill can also penetrate the Panzer IV F2. So at least that matchup is a little bit better, but the Churchill is still slower. It's still got a lot more issues. So hopefully the Bitter is balanced more by its armament than its armor, but we'll have to see when it comes out. The next vehicle is a very interesting one. So this is the M4A1 FL10. Now, when we talk about the M4A1 FL10, the first thing that sprung to mind is, why isn't this an M4A4? If you look into, as it says, used by the Egyptian army and included the oscillating turret, if you actually look at the Sherman variants that were used by the Egyptian army, the majority were M4A4s and not M4A1s. They did use M4A1 FL10s, and this makes me think that we're going to get the M4A4 FL10 in the actual tech tree. It was either going to be one or the other once I saw this, and that basically means that we'll actually get M4A4s, hopefully for the British, and hopefully for the Americans at the same time once the model is complete. It's going to be quite a fun vehicle to use, and the M4A4 in general, I mean. But the FL10 is going to be... It's the first machine we're seeing with a proper, very good autoloader. So we have autoloaders in the game already. You can talk about the MBTs if you want, since they are autoloaded tanks, but what I mean is clip autoloaders. The Chi-Ri 2 is a clip autoloader. It did have 3 shots before, now it only has 2, with a shorter reload between the 2 shots being loaded. This is another complete kettle of fish. So the FL10, if you have read down here, the autoloader consists of 2 drum magazines, each of which held 6 rounds, with twin 6-shooter drums. A gunner could fire a total of 12 shots in quick succession without reloading. Now, it all depends on the reload between those shots, but my guess is it's going to be around 4 or 5 seconds. This is a 50s, 60s variant of a Sherman. This is not something we've seen before. The hull armor may be useless at its BR. It is at rank 3, so we're looking at around 4 to 5, something like that, so it's probably going to be matched up against Tigers, or, you know, something very specific like that, or, you know, IS-1s, T-3485s if it's unlucky, stuff like that. And what this means is if you miss this tank, you are going to die. It's pretty much as simple as this, because it's going to be able to get off maybe 3 rounds to your 1, so if you miss that initial engagement shot, let's say you have the jump on him, and you miss, well, he's going to kill you. Now, generally in game this happens anyway, but this takes away even more of the chance that you're going to die, because if he misses his first shot, then he's going to load faster than you. It's going to be interesting to see how long the reload is between each drum as well. Since it can fire 12 shots in quick succession, I don't think that will be that much of a big issue with this vehicle, but it will be for the next one, so I'll mention it there instead. But what you're getting out of this is a very much upgraded Sherman. The engine may not be better, the hull armor may not be better, but what you get is a very interestingly angled turret and also a very small one. So aiming for the turret, if this thing can get hull down, it's going to be interesting to see how bouncy this flat bit is here, and also how much damage a Tiger can do, or a Panther, if it hits the cupola and bounces down. I'm very interested to see how this gun works, because if this gun works well, the 75mm that the French will have, it pretty much means that a lot of these French vehicles are going to be incredibly good, and they're going to fit the meta that is War Thunder. The majority of vehicles in the game at this moment in time can one-shot the vehicles at their BR. There are a few which do struggle with it, but the majority do. And you find that good players will constantly one-shot machines that they fight. So the armor profile of this machine, if it isn't very good, doesn't really matter. What matters is the positioning in the first place, and also being able to get that first shot off and being able to carry it up with 11 other rounds. Now, from preliminary research that I've done on this gun, which is the 75mm FL10, I've pretty much found that it fired APFS, so pretty much, no, sorry, APSD, so armor piercing discarding sabot, so armor APDS, there we go. So it fired sabot and also it fired heat. So what I'm going to guess is it's going to function very similarly to a lot of British guns that you see in the game, which already have short reloads. Now, I don't think there's anything around the rank 3 BR for the British which has that type of reload I'm talking about. What I'm pretty much mentioning there is the Vickers and the Centurion Mark 10. So this is going to, in my opinion, feel very much like a lower tier one of them with not as great gun stabilizing statistics. But we're going to have to see moving forward. It may also have a stabilizer on it. I haven't seen anything which would point towards that. But, as I said, I still have only done preliminary research. When I talk about the vehicle in full, I'll be able to mention it or not if it is there. So, pushing on to the last vehicle, which is the one which I feel like a lot of people are going to make a lot of highlight videos out of. This is the AMX13SS11. It also has an auto-loaded 75mm, and it only has one 6-shooter, so you can fire 6 shots in rapid succession, and that's it. It also has a ridiculous maximum speed of 65 kilometers an hour. What you're getting out of this vehicle is a very small, very quick, super deadly tank with its gun, and also the ATGMs just to add some nice addition to it. Once again, fires APDS and heat, and this vehicle worries me. The AMX worries me so much in the game, and I'll go through it when I talk about this machine in full, but just understand it's going to be very telling how this machine acts on what we're going to see in War Thunder pushing forward. Because it has all of the characteristics that are good in the game, apart from armor, and it doesn't need armor, because it's so small and so quick to move around in. Think about the M56 Scorpion, but add on it a better gun, add on it, well, I mean, maybe better speed, that can be debatable, but also add 80 gems on it, and also add the fact that it can't be 50 cal. I believe this machine had around about 20mm on the front. It is also sloped, as you can see here. So unless you can machine gun the turret, which you can't do because the 80 gems are in the way, this is going to be an annoying as hell tank to face and to fight. It also depends on how stabilized the gun is. If the gun is all over the place or wacky, if they decide to try and balance it that way, then yes, it's not going to be as good, but we're going to have to see in the future when it comes out. One of the more interesting things is there seems to be a lot of debate on how much ammunition that this can hold. I have seen 34 rounds. Other people say that it is a lot less than that, 12 rounds, but we're going to have to see moving forward. And when the dev server does come up, I will make sure to show it to you and talk about it in full there as well. The 80 gems themselves are SS-11s. Now, these are wire-guided anti-tank missiles, and if you want to know more about it, they're also manual command to line of sight. So this pretty much means, as you can see here, typically the missile is still steered with a joystick, and the path is observed through a periscopic-type telescopic sight. So this is pretty much the earlier 80 gems that you get in the game. A perfect example of what this 80 gem is going to act like is what you find on the STRV, which, as you can see the way it is mounted here, it is mounted looking upwards. I'm guessing if you move the gun upwards, it will move the 80 gems as well, but you'll be able to control them with the arrow keys. It isn't mouse aimed, so at least that's nice, but it still feels like it's going to be a bit of a terror in the tech tree. It does mean that AMXs will be here in rank 4. It'll be interesting to see if they add them in rank 3. The fact that we have a 1950s or 60s Sherman in rank 3 kind of worries me, but we'll have to see moving forward. But that's pretty much what has all been announced. Moving forward, I will talk about them on the dev server. I will also give them each their own little video talking about the history and, you know, as I said, the stuff in game. But understand that all three of these vehicles are going to be useful in the game. It does depend on the BR of the bitter, if it's useful or not. But even if its BR is a bit too high, it's still going to soak shots really well, and it's still going to have a bunch of crew, so you can gain a lot of research from it. The FL10 M4 is going to be a monster in my opinion, and the AMX, if it doesn't have an incredibly bad destabilized gun, like it's going all over the place, this is going to change the meta of rank 4, in my opinion. Goodbye Tiger 2s. You have nothing against this. IS-6s, depends on the penetration of the APDS round, but it should be able to go through them. It is incredibly small as well. Just understand how this can really change the meta of the game. I will get into it in another video. This has been a preliminary one. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.